Okay, hello and welcome along to Undercover TV. This is the second episode of our webcast from SQL Undercover. We've got myself, David and Adrian Buckman. How you doing, Aid?
Hey Dave, yeah, I'm good. A bit better this time. I've got an Ethernet cable running in the room today, and no flashing red lights, so I should be all right. I don't reckon I'll have a red forehead today.
We usually have some issues with you, don't we?
We do, normally. I reckon today's gonna be good.
I hope so. This is our second episode. The plan was to do these once every month or once every 6 weeks. It's been a little bit longer than that. I think the last one was back in February, wasn't it? The first one we did.
It's a long time ago.
And since then, we've tried once, but you had technical problems again.
Yeah.
But here we are. Here we go. Number 2. So I think the plan for today, we're going to start off with a little section we've called Blog of the Month. That's just going to be a little look at a blog post that's we're both going to pick a blog post, something that's piqued our interest, something that we noticed, and we have a look at that. We've got our next section, which is going to be a tool review. So this is something we're going to do every month. We're going to pick a free tool. We're going to stick with the free ones. We're going to touch the paid ones. We're just going to have a look at it. We're going to see how it works and give our opinions on it. So today we've got Minion Backup from Minionware. We're then going to have a look at the our own newly released tool, the Undercover Catalog, which will be out next week. Well, by the time this video goes out, it will be out there. So we'll have a little look at that. And then I think, Aid, you've got something for us then, haven't you?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. Yeah, a blog post that piqued my interest. I need to dig in a little bit more into it, but it looks really cool. I never even knew it existed. It's to do with a function I didn't even know existed in SQL to find median value. So yeah, that's going to be good. There's a script that I found some time ago actually, but I found it a long time ago, but I thought it's worth mentioning because, to be honest, it's something I use pretty much probably once, twice, 3 times a week at least. Really useful script for finding orphan files, which some people might not see as a problem. They might not even know they've got them, but it's really handy. The script just in seconds, straight away. But yeah, I'll be doing a demonstration of that real time, so we can see exactly what that looks like. That should be good.
Okay, so do you want to start? Do you want to start us on your blog post?
Yeah. If you we can flick over to there.
Let me flick it over to you.
So this was you should be able to see my screen. This was on SQL Server Central. It was on one of the emails a few weeks back, and it's interesting because it was a post about displaying median values, which is something that I put into the inspector some time ago with the drive space. So there's 2 configurations for the drive space. You can have it in average usage mode, or you can have it in median mode. And the code that I had to put in there to get the median thing to work is just crazy, really. Having to order the sizes by order, get the count of how many entries there were, find the mid entry and get that entry and pull that out into the results. But this percentile function apparently does that for you, which is pretty interesting read. It's quite a short read, but the good thing about this post is this chap, Adam Aspin, has got a series of little snippets of little bite-sized chunks of bits of code that can just interesting little scenarios, and he puts you in these scenarios and says, right, the boss has asked you to do this, how do you go about doing this? And he gives you a nice little example, and he gives you sample data to do it with. But this one is about percentile. So what he's basically doing is it's very similar to the likes of row number and things like that, where you do the percentile. The 0.5 determines the mid value that you want to pick. Within group, you have to specify with the percentile function, and then you've just got your typical sort of over order by partition by section, like you would do with like a row number or a rank, or and it gives you that median value so much easier than it does getting that data out, pulling it into some sort of temporary source like a derived table, temp table, CTE, whatever, counting those down, picking that value out with a rate. It's just so much cleaner, and I really want to have a go at this in the inspector, because like I say, I put this bit of convoluted code in there and it works fine, but this is tidy. I like this a lot. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to play with it just yet because I've been very busy working on lots of new issues for the 1.2 release of the inspector. As you'll see if you jump over onto our GitHub page, look into our projects, you can see the ongoing stuff we've got at the moment. Dave's got the catalog stuff in there, which he's working on at the moment. I'm working on 1.2. I'm pretty close to getting 1.2 there now, but I've been working hard on getting these things done first. But as soon as I'm done with that, I think we're going to be looking at that percentile function and getting that in there, particularly in a new view, which I added in to 1.2, which gives you some aggregation on the dry space data, which I can't really demonstrate because I haven't got the sample data, but I want to try and get that median value in there too. It's quite a nice little thing to just go in there and query, you know, what the drive's doing, how quick did it grow, what's the monthly usage, what's the yearly usage estimate, something to give you nice projections so you can go to your storage team and say, look, in 3 months' time, I reckon I'm going to use this. Have we got this available, etc. Be a nice place to go to, and I'm hoping to get some more views like that in there too. But this is next on the list. I didn't even know this existed. I had to look it up. I had to look on books online. I was like, what is this? I've never even heard of this before. There's so much cool stuff out there that just don't know about. I will be able to play with this. And I have no doubt the next time we have the next podcast, I'll be talking about that and I'll show some examples. But yeah, really cool post by Adam Aspin. And like I say, he's got a page of different scenarios in here as well. I think it's this link here. Takes you to various other scenarios he's got in here too, like tally table stuff. Had a little look at that yesterday actually. Some really cool stuff in there, and he even says, you know, this is just a small snippet just to pique your interest, things that you might not know about. These are cool things to have and use, so definitely one to check out. I think we're probably going to put these links on the video, aren't we, Dave, in the comments?
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
like
I think we'll do, yeah. That's a really good idea.
We'll add that one in. The do you want me to move? Should we go on to the next one, the orphan data files, or did you want to move on?
No, you go for it.
Yeah?
You go for it.
So the next one was, now this wasn't featured anywhere. This is one I just stumbled upon by chance. I was Googling one day and I thought, you know, I've got a feeling there's a bunch of orphan files on one of our SQL servers because it was an old server. Lots of stuff had been migrated off of it, but there was still stuff that was live there and it was meant to be live there. But looking at the drive space available, it just didn't make sense. There's sort of 15 databases and it's using terabytes of space. So I thought, well, there's no easy way to determine whether files are in use because you can go by date modified and all that sort of stuff, but it doesn't always tally up. So I thought, well, perhaps people have got rid of databases and there's old files left there on disk. And I found this page, Mike's Data Work, and he's put a script on here. And what it'll do is you give it a path, and I won't go in the ins and outs of it, but you put in a path. Basically, it's going to go through, check that directory versus sysmaster files, and it's going to check your directory using an XP function to check if the file exists, and it's going to return that information whether it exists or not. Now, one cool thing that I did notice in this script when I found it some time ago, this must have been about a year ago now, was this cool little this little bit of code here I never even thought about before. And what it's doing is it's just getting the file name. So you've got a full path, you've got a directory, subdirectory, folder, and then you've got I don't know, master.mdf. This little bit of code, I know it's silly, but it's really neat. You know, just reverse that string, get the first occurrence of the backslash, and then just give me those last characters past the backslash. Really cool. And I've used that in places since. Again, another little snippet that's really, really handy. And there's so many people that use this stuff, and it's really cool to see the way other people code as well, because there's always someone that's done something different to the way you do it. You know, this is the great thing about SQL. There's always more than one way of getting the same answers and the same results, which is really cool. So let's see this in action. I want to show you it in action because it'll make far more sense for me to show you rather than just waffling on about the post. But be sure to check this out if you want to check out for orphan files, or if you suspect you've got orphan files.
Well, this is a great little script, isn't it, Aid? I mean, how many times have we run this? We found gigs and gigs and gigs of files just sitting orphaned there on those disks. Completely wasted space.
Oh, so many times. And the one as well for me is when you've got two servers in sync. Like for example, what I've got here. The only difference I've got between these two instances is the fact I've got this orphan DB, which I've created for test purposes. But you've got two identical servers, and then if you report on drive space like we do, one day you'll get a report come through and it will say that this server is going to run out of space quicker than that server, and you think, well, that makes no sense because I know they're pairs. They shouldn't be running out like that. And then that's where the orphan stuff comes in. I think, well, I'm going to go run the orphan script over there. And then I realize, yeah, someone got rid of a database and they left the files behind. So I go and tidy that up, and then it's back on track again. But yeah, a situation like that, it just really highlights it, And it's not always people's fault that these things get left behind, because it's a scenario I'm going to run through now, actually. It's a pretty common scenario. I don't know how everyone else works, but certainly, generally speaking, what a good practice with getting rid of databases would be to make sure they're not in use, etc. Offline them first. Offline them for a period of time. Make sure no one complains they haven't got access. Whatever your retention period is, 2 weeks, a month. You decide to come in and say, right, no one's been needing that database. We should now remove that database. And of course, when you remove it when it's offline, what happens is the database gets removed, but the files stay on disk. Now, I'm going to show you an example of that now. So I just want to prove that the database exists in sys databases and the files exist on disk. So we've got orphan DB, it's in sys databases. You can see it in my tree over there anyway. And we've got a data file and we've got a log file. And I know this is a facepalm moment. I know they're on the same drives.
Don't do it.
My test system. Do not panic. This is not production. This is just silly nonsense. And just to prove to you, what I did was I grabbed Mike's script and I just chucked it into an SP, and I moved the path parameter into a parameter I can just pass a value to, just to make life easier, because otherwise I've got a massive screen of code. So all I've done is just put his code in here. And I put a parameter into it. So just to prove to you that I have no orphan files right now, I'm going to run it. I've got no orphan files right now. I've got no results at all. Now what I'm going to do is a typical scenario where we offline the database. Fine, happy, cool. Offline the database. Now if I drop the database, it's gone. I just want to prove to you that the files are no longer visible as far as SQL is concerned, and the database is definitely gone. Database is definitely gone, no longer in sys databases, it's no longer in my tree. I've no longer got any entries in sys master files anymore. However, if I check the orphan files, they are sat there on disk. And that's the part, and this database could have been 2 terabytes, 3 terabytes in size. And that space, it's just sat there, it's just eaten up, and we've got no idea about it as far as SQL is concerned. The only way to know about it is to cross-reference, like Mike's done in his script, is cross-reference what's not in sysmaster files, but is sat there physically on disk. So I could just go and clean that up now. So the only way to get rid of those would be to jump onto the box, RDP on there, whatever you do, radmin, jump on there and delete the files off, and then that will clean things up. But how quick is that? And that's just one example of one database. But what if someone had been offline in hundreds of databases? Before you know it, you could be reclaiming tons of space. Great little script, so quick, so quick. Really cool. Again, we'll pop it in the comments, Dave, won't we?
We will do,
a link,
yeah.
and people can check that out, and hopefully people will enjoy it like I've been enjoying that script. I use it quite often.
Nice one. Thank you, Ace, for that.
No worries.
Okay, so next on the list is going to be our tool review of Minion Backup. So, shall I? Actually, no, it's not, is it? I'm jumping ahead of myself because I was going to look at my little blog post of the week or the month,
yeah, we need
or however long it happens to be. Right. So this is a little. I've clicked off the main post. Let's go back into there. Continue reading. There we go. Okay, so in this post, she's just given us a couple of ways that we can find referenced objects. So I mean, I'm sure we've all been there. We've got a bunch of procs. We want to know what tables are referenced by our proc in it quickly and easily, or we know a table. We want to know what dependencies that table's got, what procs may be a reference in that dependency. And it's a simple little bit of script that she's just highlighting here. DMV, DM SQL referencing entities. But it's just so neat. I really like this. Again, this is another one that, why did I not know this exists? I should know this exists. But it's one of those. It's one of those, like Abe was saying, they're all just out there, aren't they?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just whether or not you've got a need for that thing as well, isn't it? Sometimes it's so specific and it's so niche that it's not until you need something like that you think, oh, there must be a way of finding that information. And that's obviously what this person's done. They decided, right, I'm going to go digging. And they've gone digging and found some pretty cool stuff when they've been digging. I love this stuff. There's so much there. It's such a... You try and work that out without that information to hand. It's just a nightmare. It's bird's nest, isn't it?
I mean, I'm sure we've all done it, haven't we? There's so many convoluted scripts. If you Google it, just Google this thing. How do I find dependent objects? There's so much convoluted scripts out there. It's crazy. And it's this simple. I love this. Great little DMV. I don't know what version of SQL this came in on, to be honest with you. But it's a cracking little DMV. So I'm just pinching the exact same examples that Laurie's used. So she's used the worldwide importance database. So yeah, in the first little script, we're just going to find everything that references the sales orders table. So we run that, we can find all the procs that are referencing the sales orders table, which I think is just really, really nice.
That is cool.
And there's another version, she's done the same sort of thing using SQL expression dependencies to give us pretty much a similar thing. And the other way around, using SQL referenced entities, we can see all the tables that this proc references, all the columns it references, and whether, which is what this is the bit I really like, we can see whether it's selected or whether it's updated in that proc. It's just a cracking couple of little DMVs that, honestly, I've never used before, but I'm definitely going to go in my little box of tricks now.
Yeah, it's cracking. That is brilliant.
it's good, isn't it? It's a simple little thing, a little blog post. But yeah, it just caught my eye. I think it came up as a curated SQL in the week, and it just caught my eye. I think it's absolutely brilliant little way of doing
I'm not too sure if it was this set of scripts or something similar to this, but I remember reading something recently about, it might well have been hitting these same sort of DMVs, but it was a way of checking if there's code within a given database that references another database. That really handy as well, because you've got no idea. It's one of those things where you can go and try and do keyword searches, but are you searching in the right place? You could end up finding a comment that's got that database name in it or anything like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're referring to that database. But yeah, these DMVs are great for that. Really cool. This is really cool stuff.
It's great. I mean, I need to do it. It's not one of those little things I want to dig into a bit more and find out. But yeah, it caught my eye. I just thought, it's great. Just a nice little bit of code that, like I say, a lot of people are using these crazy convoluted scripts to find this stuff out, and there's no need. There's no need when you've got these little tools. But a lot of these are just hidden away, aren't they? There's so many of them. It's impossible to know about them all.
Yeah.
But no, they're great. I think that's really good. It's really neat. So our next bit then was going to be a little look at Minion Backup. So Minion Backup's a little tool that Minionware have released. So it's Sean and Jen McCowan from Minionware or Midnight DBAs. They've actually got quite a few little tools. If you go over to minionware.net, you can find everything that they've got out. Some of their tools are free, some of them are paid for. So you've got Minion Backup, Minion CheckDB, Minion Index are their free tools, and they've got a bunch of enterprise, a bunch of chargeable tools. So we're going to have a little look at Minion Backups. This is something we've been using for a while, isn't it, Aid?
This is really cool. Yeah, I like Minion. I use it even on my test lab stuff as well. I love it. Yeah, I like the way it works. I like some of the things I really like is the fact that you can customize those paths and things as well. I really like that. You got more control over what this stuff's doing, where it's going, where it's putting this stuff. Because I like some other products too, but some of it you're forced in a direction if it's got to be that directory, that file structure, and sometimes you've got to work differently. It's quite nice to have the versatility to do what you want with it.
It is. I think it's. We'll have a look at the settings and how it all set up and things. And we're not going to show you how it works and deep dive because Sean's done some cracking videos. You go on the website here, you can find tons of absolutely brilliant tutorial videos that Sean's put together. But yes, we just really want to draw your attention to it a little bit and yeah, just give it a little bit of a run and show you what we think. So yeah, it's dead easy to download. Just come onto Minionnet, go to the backup, and you'll download Minion Maintenance. Now, Minion Maintenance, what they seem to have done now, I've only noticed this, I think they've only done this recently. They've now bundled in CheckDB, backup, and reindex into this one download. So when you download that, what you'll get, let's come over into Minionware. You'll get, the only thing you're interested really to start with is this PowerShell script. The whole thing is installed using the PowerShell script, which again, I think is absolutely, this is a beautiful power. I think you'll be impressed with this. Have you seen this one, Dave?
Yeah, this is really neat, actually. Yeah,
it's very good, isn't it? I love the way. I mean, Sean is Mr. PowerShell, isn't he? When it comes to databases and PowerShell automation, he is the guy. But
you also get the cool little robot pop up as well. See that? I love that. That's a great little touch. It's brilliant.
It's good.
The little minion pops up. It's fantastic. The silly little thing, but it is great. It's cool though. It is cool. Bit of ASCII art.
So, the only thing you need to start with, is this little PowerShell script. This is your installer. So all you need to do is run your PowerShell script. It takes in 3 parameters. That's not going to work, is it?
Strange name.
So the first thing it takes in is your SQL instance name. You're then going to need to pass in the database you're going to install the procs into, because Minion is going to install a bunch of procs and a bunch of tables. So you need to provide the database you're going to be installing into, and then which product you're going to install. So this is really nice where they've got a single installer that will do backup, will do CheckDB, will do reindex. So here you're just going to pop in whatever the product you want to install is. The other nice thing that they can do, you could enter multiple databases, multiple servers in here. So if you've got 6 or 7 servers you want to, or a whole estate, I mean, you could have, I don't know how many servers you've got, 50, 60, 100. And you want to install this thing across the whole lot, you can just pop it in as a little common delimited list. So you can have SQL 06, we could have SQL 07, and it's going to go off, it's going to install to each one of those servers, which I think is really nice. What do you think there, Aid? It could be a nightmare, kind of this stuff, when you have got a whole bunch of servers, you've got to go around one at a time. It takes a long old time, doesn't it?
Especially when each thing's got its own sort of environment. You might have 5 servers there, you've got 4 over there, or you might have a central management server on this one, but not that one. Or it's a nightmare sometimes, isn't it? So just one place, one thing, hit F5 is ultimate. It's good. I like this. I really like the installer here. It does make life a lot easier.
I mean, I'm going to be a bit naughty here. I'm talking about the catalog later on, but I'm going to pinch this idea when I do the catalog installer. It's not in version of 0.1 yet, but it will be in a future version. I'm going to pinch that idea because I think it's brilliant. I think it's actually beautiful, and that's what PowerShell's for, isn't it? That's where the strength of PowerShell is, being able to manage multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's quite simple. All you've got to do is run that PowerShell script. We'll say, yes, we do run it. We trust it. Up comes a little robot.
Yes, little eyes.
We'll give it a minute to go out and do its bits. Oh, hello. We've got an error. Why didn't we have an error when I tested? Hey, why didn't we have an error when I tested it?
SQL 05 is down.
It's definitely up. I'm sure it's up.
Always the way. Always the way.
Right, let's finish first, then we'll have a little look at it. Can I open database Minion? There's our problem. Do we need to create a Minion first? I didn't realise we had to create a database first. Let's do that then. Okay, so we do need to create a Minion database beforehand then.
You'll probably find there's a parameter or something to create it. I must admit, I'm a bit of a noob with PowerShell, so I just do the basics. I just mash it, and then that's it. I'm done. I in and out of there. I did create my database. Like when the last time I installed it, I just created it just to be sure, because I wasn't sure if it was going to do it.
Yeah.
But it might well do it. But
it might be something in there, and
yeah,
we'll find out. We'll find out. But I'm going to create a Minion database that's there. And again, like I said, it's a test box. So yes, I've got horrible, nasty default settings, but we don't care.
oh, mine's nasty. It's horrendous. Like I've got it's on all sorts of disks as well. I've got some of it's on SSD, some of it's an old spinning media, some of it's just it's just nasty. I've got one of them's got temp DB on my my SSD, my 960 Evo SSD, because I just want to see how quick that thing runs. It's a mess. I really need to start it all again, really. But, you broke it still. Is it still broken? It's just the original. It's the original.
Yeah, it's just prompted because I think it runs through a bunch of SQL scripts.
Yeah.
And it just prompts. I think it prompts each because I haven't authorized the script, or
oh,
I should have done that. I should have done that. Should I? Yeah, that's my execution policy. Which you might want to do that if you come to actually run this thing. Otherwise, you just got to keep clicking through it. Yes, I want to do that. Which we will get there eventually, I'm sure. There we go. Right, now let's try it again with the database created. And then, like this time, things will look a little bit better. That's looking better, isn't it? Look, there's no nasty red. So that's it. Okay, so it looks like you probably need
I never noticed that bit. Brilliant. I need to add this comical stuff to my setup scripts.
This is Sean knowing everything that Sean does. You find his stuff in all of his things. Sean and Jen, they're brilliant. They're hilarious. They make me laugh.
They got some brilliant videos on this stuff as well, like tuning Minion and setting things up, and a bit of troubleshooting in there. But not just that. I mean, they've got some great PowerShell stuff too, haven't they?
Oh, they've got so much, haven't they?
How to do certain things in PowerShell. Even when actually, funnily enough, that I didn't expect it, there was even a HTML one that Sean did that really helped me out with the inspector when I was first writing the inspector, when I wanted to tidy up the HTML output. And I watched his video, and granted, it's only the basics, but I didn't really know enough about it to know exactly what I was doing with different classes and stuff like that. And it goes through it in such a good way, so easy to follow. And I also watched one of Jen's PowerShell videos too. There's been a couple of the PowerShell videos I've watched, and they're so good. And because they're all DBA SQL orientated, it makes it so much easier to follow. Because I mean, there's lots of great videos out there. Let's face it, there's lots of people out there that know what they're doing and how to do it, and they're very good at showing too. But sometimes it's not always SQL focused. Like the SMO stuff, I really need to get my head around that SMO stuff, and I've still yet to find a decent tutorial that shows me a new perspective of the SMO. So I really need that. I'll probably end up writing my own thing.
It does make a difference. When you've got that SQL guy, we're SQL guys.
Yeah.
I'm not a PowerShell guy. My PowerShell's hopeless. I'll admit that. My hand straight in the air.
Yeah.
And you go into stuff, and it's so heavy to start with, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I get lost straight away. I get lost straight away. When you've got a DBA that comes and explains it in DBA language, you know what I mean?
Like translation almost.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? PowerShell to DBA.
Yeah.
Actually, should we have a quick look at? Let's go a quick look at Sean's website. So this is Minionware, but I mean most of his videos are on the Midnight DBA site, aren't they? I think
it is the Midnight DBA. Yeah.
MidnightDBA.com. I think that's where he puts most of their. They put most of their stuff. They're worth following on Twitter as well. Some of their tweets are very good.
Yeah, they're good.
That's what we got here. Yes, there you go. They got all sorts of.
So categorised on the left there. Where you got by subject, they've got some categorised ones as well. It's quite handy.
There's all their Minion tutorials. Head on Minion Backup. You'll find a load of stuff there about Minion Backup, how to throttle, how to tune it. It goes through some really, really there's some really good stuff in here. I love this stuff. It's brilliant.
It can do a lot, can't it? That's the thing. I mean, you can just use it straight out of the box as is and make your minimal adjustments, or you can pay attention to some of this stuff and really tune it and make it really, really good. There's so much to change, so much you can configure. It makes it it's really rich, isn't it? What it has to offer.
Okay, so you can see things, can you?
I can see stuff. I can see your mouse going. I can hear you.
I can see you.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. We'll do a bit of editing there and cut out most of that havoc. It never runs smooth, does it?
It never runs smooth.
If it's not you, it's me. Cool. Yeah, we was just looking at the Midnight DBA videos, weren't we? Talking about.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff on there.
The other great thing they've got is a web show as well. The old DBAs and Midnights, they've got all their seasons there. That's a great. It's a webcast. They do. I don't know. I think it's once a week, but it tends to vary. That's well worth watching as well. Anyway, should we get back to the business of this?
Get back to the business. Let's see it. See it in action.
Minion, we're installed. So what Minion's done for us? It's got installed a bunch of tables and a bunch of procs. There will also be a SQL agent job for this as well. So all your backups get taken by this Minion Backup auto job. Now this runs, I think it runs on default every 15 minutes. Let's have a little quick look. I know we've got it set up at every 15 minutes, haven't we, but I'm not sure what the default is.
I think
every 30 is their default. Yeah. But yeah, so obviously you can change this how you like. So you can have it running every 5 minutes, every 30 minutes, every hour, whatever you want to do with that. But this controls all your backup runs. This will do your full backups, your diff backups, and your log backups all in a single job. Which sounds a bit odd to start with, doesn't it? Now that sounds a bit weird, but this is one of the things I really love about Minion. Because this is where the configurability of it all comes in. We've got a bunch of configuration tables. And this is where all the interesting stuff, the really clever stuff, the stuff I really like can done. So let's have a little look through some of these settings tables and we'll just see what's in there and the sort of things that we can set up. So backup settings. Every configuration table, settings table is going to start off with this default line. Okay, so where database name is Minion default, that is your default line. So all of your backups, everything is going to default to these settings. But you can add in extra lines. You've got a bunch of default settings. You know, do you want to verify? Do you want to shrink your log on backup? You know, what size do you want to shrink your log to? There's a lot of stuff there. I mean, how long do you retain your backups for? And these can be set at a default level, so you can have something that covers everything, or you can get really granular with stuff. You can start identifying specific databases. So if you've got one particular database you want to run with a different set of settings, you can put that in there. If you want to run your log backups with different bunch of settings to your full backups, that can all be set up in there as well. There's a nice excluder. The exclude's quite cool because obviously you can just switch that line off. So if you want to just switch something off as a quick, okay, I don't want to be backing up that, or I don't want to back up those settings, I want to return to default, that can be done as well. Backup settings path, that specifies the path where our backups are going to go. So let's have a little look at that. And again, it runs in exactly the same way. So we've got a default database, a default line, sorry. So we can always add in different databases under that default line. We can add up different database types. So we can have a fallback. We can make this as granular as we like. We can set up our drive. We can set up our paths, our file names. And the nice thing about this is we can have different backups, different databases, backup different locations. We can have different naming conventions if we want that. I mean, there's a lot of scripts at the moment just give us that one thing. Where's your backup path? Everything goes to that path. Everything uses that same naming convention. Yeah. With this, we can really kind of split things out. We can send things to different areas. I mean, Recently it's come quite useful for us, hasn't it? We've had some issues with space on our backup servers. So we've needed to pipe a bunch of backups off, a bunch of database off to a different location. Now, a lot of scripts you just wouldn't be able to do that. Or if you did, you'd have to have separate jobs for it. You'd have to have some backups taken with this job, take it to there, some backups taken with another job to take it over here. But with Minion, we've just been quite easy. We've been able to say, okay, these are databases we want to go to this location, these are databases to that location. And it does it all for us. It just makes things so easy.
There is some pretty cool stuff it does add. I'm just trying to think. In that backup files table, so what else is in that backup files table? There was some cool stuff, because I remember thinking, how do they get that information? But it's because when they're doing the backups, they're calling the backup command via SQL command, and when you call the backup process via SQL command, you get returned back some of the textual information that you'd normally get in the messages tab, brought back in grid form, which means that they can do stuff with the information because it's coming back in grid form. I don't know if you remember, we were looking into some of that stuff before, and we were thinking, why are they using SQL command? And it was because of that. Because I think it was things like, can you scroll across? If you go back to backup files, I'm pretty sure it was information that was contained in backup files, and I remember thinking that is pretty cool.
Where did I put backup? Oh, I've got too much open now, haven't I?
it's like me on a normal day, 500 tabs open.
Oh, you're a nightmare. I don't know how you work like that. You've got about 25 tabs open, haven't you?
The other day, it was running really bad. I was in Manchester thinking, what's going on with this thing? And then I look at the memory usage, I was using like 90% of RAM. I was like, what's going on? I was using 3 gig in Management Studio. I have no idea how I managed to rack up. Mental.
On our shared jump box. Thanks for that, eh? That was,
sorry about that. It soon started behaving itself once I shut down Management Studio. Oh, look, wow, brilliant. I've got 60% now.
We've done it before. You say, hey, Dave, come over and have a look at this. Got something cool to show you. I'll come over. He spends half an hour ticking through all these tabs trying to find what he's looking for. I don't know how you do it.
I think what happened is, with the new versions of Management Studio, they brought out pinning. So you can pin them tabs. So normally before I think, I've got too many open, I'll just cross them out. But now I think, I won't cross it out, I'll pin it, because I might need it. It's a bit, I collect them. I thought I'd get rid of them.
You do. You end up about 9 rows of pin tabs as well.
I know.
It's not doing yourself any good, is it?
It's a hoarder.
Oh, you are a tab hoarder.
Tab hoarder. If you scroll across to the right,
what are you looking for?
In here, there was some business in here that was quite cool.
There's lots of cool business here.
Not LSN.
LSN information is quite handy as well.
No, further along. Can't remember. No, can't remember. It obviously wasn't in there. It was in one of the tables, and I thought that's really cool. How they're getting it, and I wondered how they were getting it. I'm not sure. I can't remember what it was now, but this is it though. There is information in there, and there is some cool information in there that you don't always have as well, that you get in MSDB. So it is a really useful thing. Of course, you don't have to use it for data mining and stuff. Like, you can still use MSDB. You don't have to use Minion for that stuff, but there is some cool information in there that's useful.
It is handy, isn't it? And we get a lot of people say, well, why use this rather than say OLU scripts? I mean, OLU scripts are great. I think we've all used OLU scripts. They're brilliant. But I mean, the thing I love about it is it's just so granular, isn't it? Yeah. It's so granular. It's so easy just to tweak and change things. A little bit of code, a little proc, and you can go and disable a few databases. You can, add in an extra schedule if you need to. It just makes things so easy to manage, doesn't it? And so what do we reckon? 8 out of 5 for Minion Backup? What are we going to give it?
5, I think.
It's a solid 5, isn't it?
Solid 5, yeah. No doubt about it.
I think so. It's very good. Well done to Minionware for this. It's very, very good. So we might in the future look at some of their other tools as well. But that's Minion Backup.
Brief scan over the re-index, and I was quite happy with that actually. I never really rolled it out on a big scale, but from what I did when I had to play around with it, I thought this is quite cool. I really need to give this a bit of time, but unfortunately, time hasn't really materialized. But it's one thing I do want to revisit is the re-index, because it looked quite good, and the check DB I'd like to check too.
Yeah, I've never looked at check. I'll be honest, I've never looked at check TV. I played around with the reindex a while back, and yeah, it's really nice. It follows exactly the same kind of theme. It's very, very granular. It's very, very configurable. I mean, I think all their stuff is. I think check TV will be exactly. So I've never looked at it, but I think check TV will be exactly the same as well. And that's what makes this stuff really good. I think that's what I really like about this stuff.
So next up is
our big release, our new tool, which is we're calling the Undercover Catalog. It is now released out in version 0.1, so it's still an early pre-release. It's still a big work in progress, but I just want to get something out there, just a quick, kind of like a preview version, really, that people can start having a look at, having a play at. So, what is the catalog? What is the point of the catalog? The catalog. The idea here really is that if you're managing, I don't know how many servers you manage, you can manage 10 servers, you might manage 100, 1,000 servers, and it can be an absolute nightmare to try and remember what lives on what server, what databases are where, what settings are where, user accounts, all this sort of thing. It's a nightmare to manage when you've got a big number of servers. So the idea of the catalog is we get all this information from these remote servers, we bring it all into a single place, one central configuration server, and everything's there, everything's in one place then. So let me just quickly show you where can you get it from? Where can you get the catalog from first? It's up on our GitHub page. Let me find my Explorer window. I managed to close it. So if we go to SQL Undercover, it's not up there yet because at the point of recording I haven't released it, but by the time this video goes out I will have done, and there will be a post. We've got a quick look at the quick preview of the inspectors our other tool, the catalog. There's a preview there, but there will be another post here which will be our release post, which will point you in the direction of all the code. The code will sit on our GitHub page. You can click our little GitHub link, the little, I don't know, what is it, a cat or something?
That is a cat.
I think it is. Not quite sure what that's all about, but
it's great.
The reason for it. So that'll bring you to our GitHub page, and there's a little Undercover Catalog. So that is there right now, and it will definitely be there. So the two files you need are the Catalog Interrogation PowerShell Script and the Undercover Catalog Setup SQL Script. So the first thing you're going to need to do to set this thing up is install this on all the servers that you're going to want to be monitoring. So for that, you're going to need the Undercover Catalog setup. So this is just a SQL script that you're going to run off on each of the servers that you're going to manage. This script is going to create for you a SQL Undercover database. I might change it. I might put a parameter in there so you can create whatever database, whatever you want to. But at the moment, it just creates it as SQL Undercover, and it will create everything you need for you. So let's run that in. And this is going to go through and create everything for us. So let's, we've now got a SQL Undercover database. In there, we're going to have a bunch of tables. Are we missing a table? I might have to check the script before I put it out, because I think we may be missing a table. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah, bugs.
What? we do hate bugs. We hate them bugs. Typical. I'll put this out and we come across a bug. Nice one. Right. Why didn't the modules create? That's strange. Oh, I don't know why they didn't create. Let's do that as well, because that's quite critical, that one.
I'm having to tweak my camera settings on the fly as we go, because for some reason the lighting is going really odd in here.
We've got instances. Okay, for some reason we didn't create a table. I need to have a little look at that. I wonder why that is. I bet I've got an end missing out of one of my procs, haven't I? Anyway, let's refresh that. We should have what we need there now. That will be fixed by the time we release, and I will, as soon as this webcast finishes, I will add a little issue on Git to sort that out. So the thing we need to do, as I say, this needs to be installed on every single server that you're going to want to manage. But out of all those servers, you need to pick one server. One server is going to be your central configuration server. That's the one that's all the data is going to come into. Really, at the moment, this does just install all the tables and all the procs out to everything. It doesn't really need to do that. Some of the tables, some of the procs don't need to be out on the remote servers. But at the moment, say, it's still an early release. At the moment, it just puts everything out there. In a future release, I'll tidy it up and I'll create it so there'll be a separate script for the config and for the remote servers. So going on to the only server you need to worry about with these tables is your central server. So on your central server, you've got 3 configuration tables you're going to need to look at. The first one is config instances. Now that is going to contain all the instances that you want to manage. So in this case, we've only got the one, and that's SQL 5 demo 1 instance. And there's a little active flag, so we can switch it on and off. Okay, do we want to go interrogate this server? Yes or no, we can switch it on and off. If we've got other servers we want to interrogate, we can add those in here. We have also got an option for automatically discovering instances as well. So the PowerShell script, the interrogator script, which is PowerShell based, that will go out, and that can, if you enable the setting, go out and collect and discover all the instances that are out on your network. It's a little bit ropey at the moment. Again, so it's still an early version. It's a little bit ropey, so I need to tidy that up a little bit, but it is there and it can work. And that will automatically come in here and then populate this table. One point to note with that though, any automatically detected instances will by default be inactive. So this will be a 0 column. So you need to come in, just double check that they're sensible and enable them. Configure modules. In here, we have all the modules or all the things that we're going to go and interrogate for. So we're going to get information on databases. That's one module. We have a servers module. We've got a logins module, an agent jobs module, an availability groups module, a users module, an explicit permissions module. So this just gives our interrogator, our PowerShell script, just a little bit of details, a little bit of information on how these modules work. So each module has got 2 procs, a get proc and an update proc. It normally has 2 tables, a staging table and a main table. So all this is for is just to tell our PowerShell script what to do, how to run these modules. And again, so these modules can be switched on and off as you like. One reason I've done this, if you want to add your own modules, if you want to write your own modules for the catalog, you can do so. You know, if you write your own get proc, your update procs, I mean, I'll document all this for me at some point in the future. I haven't done yet, so I still only an early pre-release. But I'll do a document or maybe a video on how to create your own modules. So yes, you can customize this. You can add modules in as you like. It makes it very, very easy to do that. You don't need to touch the PowerShell script. It's all done through this config table. And again, yes, you can switch things on and off with the active flag as you like. Our last config table is the config PowerShell table. So this again just gives us a bunch of parameters that's going to be used by our PowerShell script. Most of these you don't want to touch. A few of them you can. So catalog version, that's just the installed version of the catalog. That's just used by the PowerShell script, just a version check-in, just for when it interrogates other servers. It just wants to make sure that everything's running on the same versions. There's no mismatches. Auto discover instances. Now this is the flag that I said about earlier. Switching this on by default is switched off. Switching this on will allow the PowerShell script to go out and start auto-discovering your instances. As I say, it's a little bit ropey at the moment. It needs some work doing on it, but it does kind of work. By default, it's switched off. If you want it to do that, switch it on, and that will then go out populate instances, and that will populate the config instances table. DBA tools requirement. Now, the PowerShell script uses the absolutely brilliant DBA tools. We're a big fan of DBA tools, and this just tells our PowerShell script what the minimum version of DBA tools is that you need to require, or that you require installed. If your version of DBA tools doesn't meet that, then it'll just flag a little error and say, look, go off and update DBA tools. The last 3 parameters on here aren't actually implemented at the moment, but they will be in a future version. That's auto install. So auto install, what that is going to do, that is going to, if we have a instance in our config instances that we're going to go interrogate. At the moment, if we try and interrogate an instance that doesn't have the catalog installed, it's just going to chuck up an error. It's going to say, look, I can't do this because I've got catalog, and it'll just move on. what auto install will do, if that happens, if it gets to an instance that doesn't have catalog installed, it'll just automatically install it. It'll create the database, it'll create those database objects. So that's something you may or may not want enabled. At the moment, it's not implemented at all. It'll be something we're probably going to bring in for version 0.2. Also, update does something very, very similar. So if the config database catalog version is higher than the version you've got out on one of your remote instances, it's just going to say, okay, look, I'll update that. So it'll automatically update your remote instances to bring them in line with your config database. Again, you may or may not want it to do that, so you can switch it on and off as you like. As I said, none of these are implemented at the moment. Installation script path, that is going to be used by those two, by the auto install, auto update. So that is just going to be the path where you put all your scripts that it's going to use to do those updates and installs. So that is setting up and installing the catalog. How do we go about running the catalog? Well, to run the catalog, you're going to need that little PowerShell script. So let's go and grab that. The catalog interrogation PowerShell script. Now, there's a couple of little things you might want to change this script. The first thing you are going to need to change is the config server parameter. And this is definitely going to change it again because I've left my laptop name in there. So that will be changed when I release this. But in there, you're going to need to stick the server that's going to be used as your central configuration service. This is a server that you're going to load all your data into. So we'll call that SQL 05 Demo 1. You're going to need to, well, if you start with the defaults and you've installed everything into SQL Undercover, which at the moment I think is probably the best way to do it because the scripts don't really give you an option to use another database. That's something we'll probably add in the future. But if you have changed it, if you have installed a different database other than SQL Undercover, you'll need to change that. Script version, you don't need to touch that. That's just going to be using the version check-in to check the script version is the same as the database version. So there's no need to change that at all. Once you've done that, there's nothing more to do apart from just run the thing. So let's kick her off. You can save it with all my new settings in. It'll take a minute to run. It's taking a little while to run.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a little while to warm up on the first run of a PowerShell script, I've noticed.
Yeah, to be honest with you, this isn't the best VM anyway. I'm on a bit of a low spec VM here. Here we go. So it gives you a little bit of verbose login as it goes through, doing its checks. So this is a script that's going out to our server, just interrogating, just running each of these modules, interrogating each of these bits of information, and it's finished. So we've only got one server installed, which is SQL 05 Demo 1. If you've got more servers and more instances installed, it'll just carry on one after the other, just going out to each server, interrogating them. So that's interrogation. It's that simple. It's just this PowerShell script. So you can run this how you like. You can have it run as a scheduled job. You can have it run. You can run it manually. You could perhaps run it for an agent job. However you want to do it, it's completely up to you. But this is the PowerShell script you need to do. This is what's going to go and collect all the data. So once we've done that, we can have a little look in some of these tables. So let's have a little look in the agent jobs. So what we're going to do, we're going to have gone out. We're going to interrogate the server. And it's going to brought back information on all of our agent jobs. Okay, why is this job show up 3 times? It gives us a different line. Okay, it's a little bit untidy, I'll admit that. And again, it's something I might tidy up for a future release. But we get a different line for every step of the job. So really, this table is showing us the steps of each job rather than individual jobs themselves. So we can see the job ID. We can see the category. We've got the frequency, the schedule there, and we've got the command as well that's run by each step. So this can be really handy if you've got something that we know. So we've had it this week where we've had a bit of software that it falls over at 8 o'clock. Every 8 o'clock it falls over. So straight away we're thinking, I wonder, have we got any jobs that run at 8 o'clock and somehow affect this thing. Now, in this particular application, there's what? How many servers have you got in there? 12 servers involved in the stack there?
Yeah, I think it's about 12.
It's about 12, isn't it?
Actually, it's 14.
14 servers. So one thing we could have done was go through each server and say, what jobs run at 8 o'clock? What jobs run at 8 o'clock? Or we can come in here into our catalog and just say, right, give me everything that's likely to run at 8 o'clock. And it's just nice if it's one place that we can come and get information on all those servers. We've got the same thing here. We've got information on availability groups. There are no availability groups on this instance, so it's not going to show anything, but if there were, you're going to get information on that.
Also, the key thing about what you just said there was, whilst that's fine that there's a scheduled job and it runs and it's on that specific server, that's easy because you can go and query that yourself. But the point we're trying to make there is that there's 14 servers, and of those 14 servers, unfortunately, they're coded in such a way that they use linked servers. So you never know which server's running what code at any given time against that database on that instance that you've got in question. So that's where this is really useful, because you've got all of that information in one place, queryable in one table, rather than having to query 14 servers worth of MSDB information and trying to collate all that stuff.
Absolutely,
really useful,
absolutely. Or perhaps you've got 100 servers or 200 servers, 1,000 servers. It doesn't matter. It's all going to be in this one place. You haven't got to worry about going out there. You haven't got to worry about hunting through all these servers to find what you're looking for. Databases, again, so we can go out and we collect information on databases. So we've got database names, we've got a database ID, we've got the server they sit on, we've got the owners, we've got the collations. Again, another thing, great for auditing. You know, do we want to know if anything's on a bit of a strange collation, like this little fella, for example? Who's that? Worldwide importers. Okay, I won't worry about that too much. You know, we can get information on database sizes. It's all that auditing stuff. It's all there in one place. I mean, one thing that we find really useful actually is logins, isn't it?
Yeah.
Logins is great because one big problem, if you're using availability groups, one big problem that can happen is that when you fail over an availability group, either a login that you're using on one node doesn't exist on the other node, or if it does, the SID may be different. You might have different SIDs, therefore it becomes orphaned in the database, or the password could be different as well. But we've got the SID here. We also have the password hash, although the password hash is shown up null because I don't have any SQL accounts on this box. But if we did, we'd also see a password hash. So we can do an easy query to say, give me all the logins that don't exist on all my availability nodes, where the SIDs are different, because if the SIDs are different, we know when we fail over, we're going to get orphan logins. Those logins aren't going to map up and we're going to get problems. Or if the passwords are different, for exactly the same reason, if the passwords are different when we fail over, the password is suddenly going to change, an application or a user is going to be able to log in. So it makes it really, really easy to be able to just have a quick look and say, okay, look, I've got a problem here. This user's password is different on this node to all the other nodes. And this is something we actually run every morning, isn't it, Aid? We've got a little check that goes out all our servers and it reports back into us any users that either don't exist everywhere or have a mismatched SID or a mismatched password hash. And I think it's helped us out plenty of times, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's been a few occasions where it's picked something up ahead of time, which is where you want to be.
I mean, we have had occasions where we failed over and things just haven't worked for this exact reason. I mean, I think this is one of the reasons I actually built the catalog in the first place, was to solve these sort of problems. Yeah. But we've had customers fail over and things just suddenly stop working. For this exact reason, because people what they'll do, they'll go and create a login over here. Great, and I'll give it permission. I'll go and create the login somewhere else with the same password. I'll create a login somewhere else, same password. And what they don't realise is that the SIDs don't match up. So when your database fails over, that login doesn't automatically map to the database user because the SIDs are different, and then you have to go and remap it. And
well,
obviously you remap it, which is fine.
What they do,
fail over.
It happens, and they run SP change users login, and then they auto fix it. That's great, until you fail back again, and then you're back in the same position you were the time that you failed over before. Don't auto fix it. Fix the logins.
absolutely. Fix the SID. Make it match up. And this is exactly what this thing is really good for. And because we've also got the password hash, it's dead easy to use this to create login scripts, because you've got the SID, so you can take the SID, you can put that into your create login script. You've got a password hash, so you can use that as well. You can say, oh, look, I want to use a password with this hash. So you know that login is going to match everywhere. You've got nothing to worry about. You've got nothing to think about. It's
really handy.
That's I think that for us, that is one of the these useful things with the whole catalog, and I think it was one of the main reasons we actually built it in the first place. We're collecting on servers, collecting information on servers. So same thing, we can see our server, we can see a collation, we can see what edition it's on. So we can easily now, if our manager comes to us and says, look guys, my licensing is looking a bit heavy here. How many enterprise servers have I got? How many standard servers have I got? You know, is someone using developer edition where they shouldn't be using developer edition? It's dead easy now for you to be able to just print off this report and go to them and say, well look, we've got 95 enterprise editions, we've got 500 standard editions. Oh look, and someone there is using developer. Now all these are production servers, so we know that shouldn't be developer edition. Someone's done something naughty. It just makes this stuff nice and easy for auditing. And again, for users, so this is going to, oh, I don't want design, do I? Why did I click design? Let's not do that. Let's just select from it. So again, this is going to go and give you all the users within each database. It will give you any roles that they're assigned to. It will give you the user they're mapped to, or the login they're mapped to, sorry. So again, it just gives you all that information about all your servers, all your data, all your users, all in one place. And again, this can be quite nice. You can have a quick look. Okay, is anyone DBO? Let's have a quick search for everybody across all my servers. They've got DBO on a server, or same thing. If you go to logins, you've got the same thing in logins. All the roles are assigned to anyone's SA across all of my servers. It just brings all the information into one place. So that is pretty much the catalog at the moment. This is version 0.1. We are going to be adding a lot more modules in. We're going to add more data in as we go. There is plans for a Power BI dashboard, so that will give you loads of reporting and stuff that you might not necessarily want to query. We'll put loads of views in there. There's going to be loads of extra stuff. We're going to build on this thing and hopefully make it so it's a place you can just go to get all the information about everything. All your dependencies will be in here. I mean, it's just going to bring everything together for you, and that's what we're looking for with the catalog. So yeah, that's the catalog. You got anything more you want to add, Aid?
Not long now, is it? So a little tweak of the code, and it'll be there. It'll be there once the video's out. In the meantime, we've got plenty of issues to work on for the next release. I know I'm working on some for the inspector as well, 1.2. That's going to be there soon as well. Got a couple of weeks left to finish my testing and finalize that code. It's funny because I only had a few things there to add in, but the more I've been doing it, the more I've been thinking, actually, I should add that, and I should add that, and make that bit better, and make that bit better. So it's been a little bit longer than I expected it to be, but 1.2 is going to be so much better than the original inspector and 1.1. 1.1 was a bit of a rogue release because I never mentioned anything about 1.1. I just updated it on Git, and that was it, because all it really tackled was case sensitive collations. I allowed it to work on there, and there was a log shipping states database state that I added in as well, which I found quite handy because otherwise it just shows us restoring, but actually if it's restoring and it's being log shipped, then you kind of want to keep that separate. And with that in mind, actually I've been thinking about the same thing with database mirroring as well, that I probably ought to add that in to 1.2 just before I release that too, and just add that extra state for mirrored databases, because they show as restoring, but whilst they're restoring, they've actually got a different state. But as far as sys databases are concerned, it's restoring. So I'm going to add that too. We've got lots to do, and if anyone has been watching this week and last week on our GitHub page, they would have noticed a massive wall of issues that have been raised lately for enhancements and bug fixes. Well, actually, not many bug fixes. It's more enhancements, isn't it? We're trying to make this stuff much better and much more user friendly. And we're getting
actually, one thing might be worth saying, anyone out there that is watching, and if you're a Power BI guru or a PowerShell guru, you know, we're using Power, we're a bit rubbish for PowerShell. I think we're both our hands up to admit that. We're not as strong as PowerShell. Power BI, I'd love to put the Power BI dashboard out, but my Power BI is hopeless. I don't really know what I'm doing with it. So if you are a Power BI guy or you're a PowerShell guy and you want to help us out with this stuff, get in touch. You know, it'd be brilliant. Or, honestly, anyone wants to get in touch, want to help us out with any of the stuff, you want to get involved, add some bits, add some modules, yeah, feel free, you know, just get in touch with us and we'll see what you got.
Yeah, I must admit, I flagged the because I've got a PowerShell collection that I've been working on very briefly with the inspector. It's been going for a little while now. I've not kind of been picking it up and putting it back down again, but I asked for a bit of help, and Shane O'Neill came on board and said, yeah, SOS DBA for anyone that knows Shane, very helpful guy, came on board, helped out, tweak it a little bit, get it up and running, and made it look a bit neater, and it's given me some better ideas on things I can make better now moving forward with it. But I've got a revision that I'm going to put back onto the comments so that Shane can have a look and go through it and make it much better, because at the end of the day, Shane knows what he's doing. I don't, and he does, and it makes a massive difference when you've got someone that knows what they're doing that stuff. Because I was writing stuff that he just refined in a couple of lines of code. So yeah, I mean, anyone that wants to help, I mean, we're open to that. Anyone wants to add stuff, and yeah, I'd love it to hear people that are using it that want to something added in, or you know, it'd be good. I know that there's definitely some people using the inspector, because it's been clicked on a few times recently, and I've had a couple of emails from people saying, you know, I've got this, or I've had this error, you know, what do I do here, or you know, what would you say is the best way to run this thing? So I'm hoping it'd be the same adoption for the catalog too, and at some stage, hopefully, we can try and integrate the two.
Yes. Yeah, that would be good, I think, wouldn't it? There's definitely overlap there, isn't there? There's definitely yeah. Anyway, I think that's probably us, isn't it? So
till next time.
Which hopefully we'll get one out within 6 months again this time.
Yeah, definitely.
We won't wait quite as long as we did do last time.
Yeah.
So yeah, cheers for watching, and
thanks for watching.
We'll catch you later.
See you later.